Welcome everyone. This is a quick update on my AC to Litre restoration. Progress has been delayed over the summer due partly to a lot of rainfall plus the thunderstorms triggering migraines. But enough of the excuses. Firstly, some minor issues. In an earlier video I showed how I copied one of Jay Leno's cars and attached motorbike mirrors to the door handles. I wasn't really happy with that setup, so I ordered a simple clip-on mirror from Paul Beck Vintage Supplies. The window glass isn't in place, but I'm pretty sure it will clear the bracket. There's a thin rubber pad on the mirror bracket. I'll have to cut out a section of the felt window seal. This mirror does not protrude out as far as the wings, so it's unlikely to collide with anything. Next, do you recall the upgraded headlamps I installed last year? They came complete with rubber gaskets. As you can see, these rubbers have already cracked after less than 12 months. That is a common problem with modern rubber parts. Moving now to the carburettors. I need to upgrade these triple SUs to slightly larger size, as the originals tend to strangle the engine at higher revs. The originals are 1 1/8 inch HV2 thermos. Thermo refers to the cold start device. The larger version I need are 1 1/4 inch H2 thermos, as used by AC Aces. I discovered that most parts are interchangeable, including dashpots and float chambers, so I searched for H2 carb bodies on eBay. I then realised that there is a very large number of variants. Meanwhile, I noticed that Berlin, supplier of parts for SUs, listed the triple carbs for ACs at just over £1,000 plus VAT, handmade to order. When I phoned them for some details, they did not have the answers. It seems they've never had a request for this setup before. They said a technician would get back to me. You might know that phrase as code for "that's the last you'll hear from us." I returned to plan A. I contacted well-known AC owner Barry Bird, who was extremely helpful. He provided the part number for the carburettor body, which is PDC 3229Q. I found a slightly different carb body on eBay, part number 3229F. At only £15 I decided to get it as seen here. The only difference seems to be the choke linkages. I'll go into more detail in the future when I do the upgrade. Barry also highlighted the need to widen the pancake filters for a better match with the carb size. He'd had a batch of modern filter foam cut out, so I snapped up a couple of sets as seen here. The original internals feature a wire wool dipped in engine oil. I will widen my filters by extending the studs that hold the two sides. The main project for late summer was to resume the coach painting, last worked on 2 years ago. I'm not affiliated with Avenue Paints, but I'm in awe of their products. They had got the green colour perfect after 2 other companies failed. The paint hardly separates when left to stand, and after a 2-year gap the quarter-full tin just needed a slight stir. It also didn't skin over. A previous brand of Techaloid, noting that various companies make their own version of Techaloid paint, had to be filtered as I kept getting tiny bits of solid ruining the finish. Firstly, revisiting the bonnet paintwork. The first thing to do was to flat down the previous coat of paint and do so meticulously. This took about 3 hours for each bonnet half, starting with 400 grit, then 800 and finally 1500. I added a little bit of thinners to the green top coat, about 5% by volume, and it seemed to level out a lot better than my attempts from 2 years ago. I suspect that the lower ambient temperature has helped. These painting sequences were made in late August when the temperature was about 18 degrees C or mid-60s Fahrenheit. I also improved my laying off technique. As you can see, I lay off the paint by gently brushing it lengthways relative to the bonnet and then sideways, the final one being extremely gentle. When doing it lengthways, I am brushing partly into the section painted a couple of minutes earlier, crossing the wet edge as it's known. It is important to brush towards that earlier section and lift the brush off the surface like an aircraft taking off. That reduces the chances of creating little gaps or ripples. Looking at the dried paint, you can still faintly see the transverse ripples from my final laying off, but it is much better than my previous attempts. I leave the paint for at least 2 days before rubbing it down with 800 grit, then 1500. Then I applied Craftmaster Clear Coat. This protects the paint from fading and gives an even deeper shine. The colour seems to look slightly better too. You can't thin down this clear coat, but you can add some PPA additive to help it to flow, especially in warm weather. The next day it looked like a bag of dust had landed on it. However, these dots are mostly air bubbles. I had applied it too thinly. It's a fine balance on getting the thickness right, as it will run and sag if it's too thick. Here is the left-hand bonnet after the first coat of clear. I noticed that the clear coat levelled so well that it did not require much laying off with the brush. The Craftmaster website stated that it is best applied at ambient temperatures below 20 degrees C or 68 Fahrenheit. You need 2 to 3 coats of the clear. I haven't fully tackled the issue of dust, although I finally remembered to sprinkle water on the concrete workshop floor for that last clear coat. I painted the floor in my garage a few years ago, which is where a large part of the painting will take place. I wear a small hat while painting to avoid dropping hairs. If it's a grey hair, I'll deny ownership. I'll do a proper video on coach painting progress at a future date. Some more planning ahead involves the carpets. I want to get the upholstery restored professionally over winter, which means supplying some carpeting for that work. One can buy offcuts of the Westex carpeting that I need, that are sufficiently large to carpet the car, with a saving in cash. Going off at a slight tangent, if you enjoy looking at mouth-watering rare coach-built cars such as Delages, pre-war Mercedes, vintage Rolls, etc., then you will enjoy Richard Michael Owen's well-informed video of cars assembled for the Tour d'Elegance at Pebble Beach. I'll include a link below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll return for future videos.